Pavilion in Moraga, California, as the Gales hope to get back even in West Coast Conference play. Evan Giddings alongside Dr. Joaquin Wallace with you here on Stadium and the WCC Network from inside UCU. Well, Doc, St. Mary's has taken losses each of his last two games here at home. They have two more in front of them, first starting tonight and then on Saturday against San Diego. The Cougars are in front of them, but right now they are going through the gauntlet as far as facing the first, the second place, and now the third place team in the WCC. How do you expect them to come out tonight?
Well, first and foremost, they lost the first time they matched up against them on the 31st of December of last year. So they have to come out and play a little bit better today. That was a 66-41 game. So the fifth leading scorer in the conference is Laura Gustin, but they handled her pretty well. It was Falatala that was pretty much got uncorked, so to speak, against them with 24 points. They have to do a better job of handling her, but without Bamberger, it's going to be a tough challenge for the Gales. Other players are going to have to step up tonight if they have a chance to win the game.
Yeah, like you mentioned, Doc, Allie Bamberger inactive again with a right leg injury she suffered against Portland 2 games ago. Hoping to get her back soon, but it's going to be up to the combination of Aspen Garrison, Amy West, along with Ellie Croco. That's kind of that 3 forward/center rotation we've seen from Allison Fasnacht against, like you mentioned, one of the conference's best bigs in Gustin.
Yeah, and you talk about they scored 41 points the last time out, so they have to do better than that. 9 points in the first quarter, 10 in the second, 11 in the third and fourth. But that was on the road. What usually happens, you shoot better at home, so they'll hopefully have a better showing at home. But they're going to have to play team basketball tonight. They're going to have a lot of man movement and ball movement and take advantage of mismatch on the floor and try to get out in transition to make easy baskets.
Now, one thing St. Mary's is going to have to overcome is history against this BYU team. They are under first-year head coach Amber Whitting, but Allison Fasnacht, interim head coach for the Gales, has been a part of this team in St. Mary's that has lost each of their last 7 games against BYU. They have not beaten them since 2017. As someone who used to be on those sidelines, how do you try and get out of your own head when it comes to playing against a team that has had your number in recent years?
Well, most often the players that you have on the other side may not have been involved in those games as well. So you can't look at that. You have to look at the last time you played them and try to improve upon that. Look at your scout, look at your film. What could we do better? And try to execute one possession at a time.
Well, the starting fives are on the floor. We are set for action here inside UCU. First for the opposing BYU Cougars, a 3-guard set between Nani Falatea, along with Ariel Mackey-Williams and Kaylee Smiler. Lauren Gustin, the conference's leading rebounder at about 16.5 boards per game. That's number 1 in the country. And Emma Calvert, who does the tip, along with Aspen Garrison, and BYU wins possession. Starting for St. Mary's, it'll be Taylor Dalton going along with Hannah Rapp, Leah Hannafin, Tacey Whedon, and the aforementioned Garrison.
So you know that BYU, the Cougars, are to go inside early because Bamberger is not there. Remember, the top leading scorer, number 5 in the conference, only had 10 points the last time out. So they did a good job against her, but now without her in the lineup, it's going to be a difficult challenge to keep her out of the blocks.
Now, BYU isn't a team that offensively fills it up, but they're opportunistic. They're 3rd in terms of rebounding, number 1 as far as 3-point shooting, the percentage, as there's a wrap-up with Leah Hannafin along with Nani Falatea. And pardon me, that was Smiler. I got called with the jump ball. It'll be St. Mary's basketball.
And you have to win the 50-50 balls as well. Try to steal possessions. Try to get as many extra possessions as possible. St. Mary's is playing a small lineup on the floor as well, so they're going to try to create lanes and get to the rim.
Garrison goes underneath and reverses it home for the game's first 2.
And that's a good start by Garrison. Second side, went baseline, flipped it off the other side of the glass.
Aspen Garrison, who was in foul trouble frequently against Gonzaga last weekend in the loss to the Bulldogs, did have a good start when she was in. 4 of 5 from the floor. Now take here from Mackey-Williams. Goes around Dalton and lays it in.
It's a nice job by Williams to get around and go baseline and flip it off the glass. Same side. Have to do a better job on the help side defense for the Gales of St. Mary's.
This is a Gales group that has been stout defensively this season. Top 3 in terms of field goal percentage against and 3-point percentage against. Has been finding that consistency offensively, especially not committing those live ball turnovers, which have hurt them this season.
And you know, BYU is a good defensive team, as we mentioned earlier. Only 41 points last time these two teams matched up.
Calvert the block on Garrison, and then in the front court, Falatea nearly had it poked away. Entry pass down low there to Lauren Gustin, who has it inadvertently kicked by Dalton and ends up in the corner.
That's great defense by Dalton to beat her to the spot, forced to reverse the ball out. Taylor, remember, she had 24 points last time. She's trying to get downhill.
Led all scores in their last meeting. 5 to shoot, drives at the cup, and off the window she goes. That's
a nice hesitation dribble. Took the screen, went downhill, flipped it off the glass, kind of changed speeds as she was getting downhill.
Faulete has scored double digits in all but 3 games this season, and someone offensively that the Gales will certainly have to be aware of. Dalton now backing out with 13 to shoot, gives it up to Rapp. Rapp going at Faulete. Met by an extra defender, and now Hannafin to the free throw line. 3 to shoot, has it poked from behind there by Smiler, and it's going to be a shot clock violation.
And Smiler did a great job as the ball handler just kind of dribbled over to her side, and she just kind of turned around, and the ball was there, and she knocked it out of the hands of the ball handler.
And this is a BYU team that has made a frequent appearance in the NCAA tournament. First round last season. In 2021, made it to the second round. But 26 wins a year ago, and now Amber Whiting taking over as the 7th head coach in program history behind Jeff Judkins, who announced his retirement after a 21-year stretch with BYU. Calvert lost the handle underneath the basket. That'll be a turnover in St. Mary's basketball.
So the DNA of the Cougars is go inside. You can see that they're trying to get it inside, take advantage of their size, and get the Gales into foul trouble.
Kira Some, who came in after the last dead ball, gives it up to Dalton. Quickly inside, back out. Kira Some will swing it. Rapp drives in, stops, and is able to hit.
And that's a nice job by Rapp coming to a jump stop. The old jump stop, it works out well with the flyby, flips it over the front of the rim for a bucket.
Gustin goes off the glass right there. Little shot put of a basket, but Gustin gets it to go.
Yeah, what she did in that situation there, Evan, is that she did not allow the double team to come. So as soon as she got it, she turned and used the glass.
Gustin had 13 and 16 in the team's first meeting at the tail end of December. Kira Some, so Whedon nearly had it stripped, regains possession.
So defensively, you can see the Cougars, they play the passing lanes. They're extending their defense out. Opportunities to go back door for the Gales.
Whedon short on her first field goal attempt as the open shooter is found from the wing. Having time to tee it up all day is Smiler, who nets it from distance.
Yeah, 10 toes behind the line. She had all day. She could have made a sandwich there. Fumbled the basketball, was able to still line it up for the 3-ball.
Whedon, the conference's all-time leader in three-point makes. Gives it up to Rapp, and then with Garrison, nearly has it stolen. St. Mary's with an opening. Kira Some can't get the shooter's touch. It's out of bounds. It'll be off the white jerseys.
And those are opportunities that the Gales have to take advantage of. Kira Some had a wide open jump shot, was not able to knock it down, but you're going to get those opportunities because, as I mentioned earlier, the Cougars, they play up the line defensively, so they're looking to take any pass away. You could go back door, or if you can get skip outs, you will be open.
Amy West enters for Rapp. Meanwhile, the sophomore out of Frederick, Maryland, Rose Bubakar, comes in for BYU for the first time. And she'll immediately face up and is off with her first J.
Took the jumper right at the elbow in the pinch post area. It was on line, front iron, just was not able to deliver.
Whedon going at Faulete, and then has it stripped and stolen. The sophomore up ahead, speeding into the front court. Nice dump off, and then with nowhere to go is Mackie Williams. She gets tied up. It'll be a jump ball, but it will stay with BYU.
I like the idea by Faulete, but I would have loved her just go straight to the rim because she had a straight line drive to the glass, pass it to her teammate, but she had nowhere to go because the defense kind of converged onto her, but she had an easy layup to the front of the rim.
Hannafin and Kira Some return. Meanwhile, McKenna Mastora checks in for the first time. Shot right there by Lauren Gustin is off the mark. Opening for St. Mary's. Mastora will swing it. Hannafin will net it.
And as I mentioned, they're going to have those opportunities throughout the game. It's a matter, are they going to be able to convert? Nice job by Hannafin to knock down the 3-ball.
St. Mary's, a team that shoots just over 31% from three-point range on the year, has had those open looks, Doc, as a foul is committed the other way, and we'll head to immediate timeout. We'll pick it up on the other side. Certainly want to get your thoughts on some of the Gales' open looks early, but they trail by 2. BYU leading 9-7, 4:36 left here in the first quarter. Evan Giddings, Dr. Joaquin Wallace, whether you're watching St. Mary's women's basketball on Stadium.
Hey, it's no steal on the bench.
Evan Giddings and Dr. Joaquin Wallace with you here on Stadium from inside UCU Pavilion. St. Mary's trailing by 2 here in the opening period. And Doc, we were talking about it during the break. Obviously, no Allie Bamberger, though she is expected back Saturday for San Diego. But also one absence that we were made aware of just before the game. Claire Steele out with a back injury, and as the backup point guard, that could play large tonight.
Exactly, with the pressure defense by the Cougars as well. And you're going to need a ball handler, someone with experience. So losing her, all the pressure is going to come back to Kira Some, as well as Mastora. She may have to handle the basketball. We know Dalton handles it as well, so it's going to be all hands on deck.
Falatea filling it up for BYU, who has a 5-point edge here in the opening quarter. McKenna Mastora driving on Falatea and will swing it back out. Kira Some navigating, steps through, off the window. Nice touch from Kira Some with some fancy footwork.
Yeah, she was able to get inside. She picked up her dribble, but she didn't panic. Used a couple of dream shakes and was able to get it off the glass for her first bucket.
And Kira Some, with the absence of Steele, likely to play large minutes tonight for Allison Fasnacht's crew, as Gustin gives it up for Mackie Williams. St. Mary's man-to-man defense. Amy West got a piece of that on the shot by Gustin.
Yeah. Amy West, good job as a vertical spacer, was able to use her length to frustrate Gustin.
Mastora trying to go baseline and accidentally kicks it out. So
turnovers are good. I'm sorry. Turnovers are good. Only 3 so far for St. Mary's, 2 for the Cougars of BYU.
Rapp returns for St. Mary's. Meanwhile, Calvert comes back for BYU. No, that's a good point, Doc, because even though St. Mary's is a team that averages about 18 turnovers per game, this is a BYU group that doesn't force a lot of turnovers, so you might get some of those extra possessions back.
Exactly, and that's where the experience of Steele does come into play. But again, in this situation here, you don't have to worry about being pressured up the floor, so they can be able to navigate their offense.
Falatea and Rapp keeping her in front. 3 to shoot. Bubakar's got to pull up and misses everything.
So Bubakar, since coming in, is 0 for 2 in 2 shot attempts.
She's that 6th woman for BYU, averaging about 8.5 points per game. Had double digits in the first meeting back at the tail end of December for BYU. St. Mary's losing that 66-41. And now with a chance to defend home court is Hannafin trying to shake her defender, has to give it up to Kira Some. Kira Some into the lane. Looking for an opening, finds the open shooter. Hannafin, 2 for 2 from distance.
And as I mentioned earlier, that's going to be there all night. Kirisomi is doing a good job of getting into the teeth of the defense. All eyes on her, coming to a jump stop and rotating the ball out to the opposite side, and that shot will be open. It's just a matter of how many they can nail this evening.
Leah Hannafin, who stepped into a starting role here in her junior year, off to a hot start. 2 from three-point range. She's got 6 points in half of St. Mary's 12. Gustin down the lane. Amy West sort of altered that shot.
So Gust, as you mentioned, I mean, number 5 in scoring, 15.8 points per game. So I'm sure they're going to try to get her percolating as this game matures on. And just as I say that, she runs the floor well to get an easy basket.
Well, right on cue. She's not the largest. I mean, only 6'1", but Doc, 16.5 rebounds a game almost, number 1 in the country. She knows how to work down low, and she grabs a board right there off the Hannafin miss, who commits a foul in the backcourt.
And oftentimes people think you have to have size to rebound, but it's all about positioning as well, reading the shot, being in the right position, using her body, anticipating the miss. Obviously, she does that well, to her credit.
Oh, a line change for St. Mary's. Dalton, Whedon, Garrison, and Rapp return along with Addison Whedon. So the Whedon sisters on the floor for the Gales. Mackie Williams, along with Boubacar, join Gustin, Calvert, and Falatea for the Cougars. Under 90 seconds to play here in the first quarter. St. Mary's trailing by a basket. Gustin gives it up to Mackie Williams, who spots him a 3.
She was able to line up that 3 ball and kind of step right into it. No defender in her area. As Mark Jackson says, hand down, man down on that situation there. There was no one in her area code, and she was able to knock that down.
Both sides shooting it well here in the first quarter. BYU, 54%, 3 of 3 from 3. St. Mary's has hit half their baskets, including 2 triples. Second chance opportunity for BYU off the miss. Falatea, the pull-up J. Front rim, no. And Rapp goes for the rebound. It'll be Calvert that's tagged for the over-the-back foul.
So if you look at the score from last time out, it was 14-9 in the first quarter. So both teams was at a frigid pace. But so far, you look at St. Mary's, they've scored 12 points. So they scored more points in this quarter than they did in each individual quarter last time out.
St. Mary's trying to move above 500 overall this season, 10-10, trying to get back to 500 in conference play at 4-5. Dalton's dump-off pass was kicked by Boubacar, and so it'll stay here with about 19-second shot clock separation.
So, Evan, right in these situations here, anytime you get a baseline out of bounds play, as I mentioned, these are like field goals. You want to kind of convert from those, because if you can get 4 to 6 points a night, that bodes well.
Addison Whedon. Now to Garrison, has 6 to shoot. Tries to send a bounce pass inside, but Boubacar sniffed it out, and it'll be last shot for BYU.
Yeah, Garrison would have been better served taking the jumper right at the 6 to 7 foot part of the paint versus trying to make an extra pass.
Falatea into the lane, left hand finish from Falatea. She hits the deck.
She's crafty inside. She
Dalton from half court, and that's off the mark.
I'm sorry, she's crafty inside. She can make shots in traffic. See why she had 24 her last time out.
Well, she's got 7 to lead all scorers here in the opening quarter, heading to the second after these messages. 19-12 BYU shooting 50%. It's Evan Giddings. It's Dr. Joaquin Wallace. You're watching St. Mary's women's basketball on Stadium.
Sorry about that, man.
No, my bad. Second quarter is underway here in Moraga. St. Mary's trailing BYU by 7 here at home. It's Evan Giddings with Dr. Joaquin Wallace with you on Stadium. As Dalton went onside at the first offensive possession, and it pushed out of bounds.
I'll tell you what, Garrison missed Rapp cutting to the front of the rim on that split action. Could have been an easy layup. And that's where they're going to miss Bamberger, because he does a great job of passing and navigating that offense from that pinch post area. He has a lot of assists throughout the game.
5 first quarter turnovers for St. Mary's. That's their 6th to begin the second here, 30 seconds in. Gustin low on the block, met by a double team, finds the open Calvert. Her jump shot is no good, but the best rebound in the country gobbles up the offensive board. Mackie Williams nearly lost it, fortuitously over to Smiler. BYU in that first quarter shooting 50% from the floor. As Dalton nearly gets the takeaway. West down to the deck, takes it for St. Mary's, and the Gales are off and running.
And those are those 50-50 balls that we talked about, getting those extra possessions. Let's see if the Gales can convert here.
As we mentioned off the top, West, Garrison, and Croco probably going to have to play big minutes tonight in the absence of Ali Bamberger, the team's leading scorer and rebounder. Wrap the crossover, stumbles, Whedon, pump fake, step back, jump shot, front rim.
Nice relocation dribble by Whedon, was not able to knock it down, but I like the offense from her. She has to be aggressive tonight as well.
Calvert, a high-low with Gustin, turns around, goes off the window with the left hand.
And that's easy work for her because she does her work early. She gets positioned 2 feet in the paint, used the body, and flipped it off with her left hand.
Gustin's now got 6 points, only trailing Falatea with 7 for BYU.
You talk about the number 5 and number 9 scores in the WCC between Falatea and Gustin.
Dalton looking for the opening. It's Whedon now into the paint, has her shot blocked by Smiler, and BYU takes it away. And now the other way, Smiler off the block. Cannot come up with a transition 3, but an offensive rebound by the freshman Amanda Barcelo. Calvert will try her luck from distance. Back rim, no.
Multiple possessions for the Gales. They was able to avoid a score. Now hopefully they can get on the scoring side of the basketball here.
BYU made their first 3 threes. Now missing 3 attempts from downtown as Whedon goes on the block. Gives it out to Dalton. Nearly got tied up. It's a loose ball. It's out off of St. Mary's.
So Dalton tried to get inside, but there's no lanes to get inside. Everyone's converting down. They're forcing all the action outside, kind of converting in, shrinking the floor. Had nowhere to go.
Kira Some returns for St. Mary's along with Leia Hannafin, who's got 6 points to lead all Gales. Has hit both of her 3-point attempts. And Falatea back in for BYU, a sophomore out of Salt Lake City. He's got double digits in 17 games this season. He's already got 7 tonight. To the open shooter, Barcelo. Long rebound inside Mackie Williams and runs right into a Gale. That's Garrison, who then gets pushed to the ground. And it's going to be out off of St. Mary's.
That's the second offensive possession where BYU has been able to get multiple shots up. Second chance opportunities. Now they have a chance to take the ball out of bounds as the possession arrows to her. But it was thrown out of bounds, so it wasn't a tie-up.
So BYU, and on the drive there is Smiler, dumps it off Gustin. Back out, the extra pass. Going around Garrison, Gustin underneath. Not much of an angle there, fell just short.
That's a good call. She came, popped outside, tried to get to the second side, but she had no angle. I would like to see her flip it off the glass versus trying to go straight in on that odd angle.
Garrison with the size advantage, spinning and finishing. There's Aspen Garrison.
And Garrison says, you're too small to guard me down on the block area, 2 feet inside. Flipped it over her right shoulder for the little jump hook.
Garrison in her sophomore year after 31 games played as a freshman. Falatea, the elbow pull-up.
And that's a nice looking shot by Falatea. She used the screen, came right around, got to her happy spot, and was able to knock the shot down with ease.
St. Mary's has found some efficiency offensively, but gives it up in the front court. That's turnover number 8. Falatea to the open shooter. Mackie Williams is just off.
Falatea does a great job of keeping her chin up and knowing where her teammates are at, finding them for open shots.
Well, so far, the second chance, or points off turnovers, pardon me, haven't killed St. Mary's. Only 4 points for BYU off those now 8 turnovers. Garrison quickly inside over the top of Barcelo.
So 2 times the Gales will go inside for the shot. Garrison now, she used her dream shake on the, flipped it off with her left hand as well.
St. Mary's has been a team that, especially since the start of conference play, has tried to establish the interior presence, as Barcelo's high arcing 3 is no good. Gusted an offensive rebound, but travels along the baseline.
So the Gales are running like a 1-2 screen action between Falatea, and she's able to come across. If she likes it, she take the jumper. If not, the relocation from the screener pops outside for the 3 ball.
And so Mastora returns for St. Mary's. Now, a whistle is called from the opposite baseline. Our officials this evening, Charles Gonzalez, Kelly Broomfield, and Danielle Johnson. Resetting the shot clock with about 5:05 left here in the second quarter. St. Mary's trailing by 7. Ellie Croco in for the first time as well for St. Mary's. Mastora give and go with West. Just off the mark inside.
That was a great ball screen, a 2-man game, single side. West was not able to deliver, but nice pocket pass by Mastora.
Mackie Williams goes baseline. Croco got her hand on it, but looked like went off of number 22, and that will bring us to the media timeout. 4:40 left here in the second quarter. BYU leading by 6. St. Mary's shooting 50% here in the second quarter. We're back after these messages. You're watching St. Mary's women's basketball on Stadium. Welcome back inside University of Credit Union Pavilion here on Stadium. Evan Giddings alongside Dr. Joaquin Wallace. St. Mary's trailing BYU 23-16. Now, Doc, not a large gap between these two teams, but one thing that has become increasingly clear, BYU with the rebounding advantage as well as St. Mary's turning the ball over has led to the Cougars already having taken 9 more shots in this game. There's the 10th, and there's a basket for the Cougars.
And we talked about baseline out of bound plays, right? If you can get 2 to 6 points a game with that, it's like field goals, so that's 2 for them. Let's keep a tally on that, but again, you can't turn the ball over and allow them to get extra shots. As I always say, you make 50% of the shots you take. You make no percent if you don't take them at all. And what's happening right now when you're turning the ball over, those are empty possessions.
Well, it's just St. Mary's second offensive rebound of this ball game with 4 to go here in the second. Whedon up the pump fake, creates enough space and floats it in beautifully from the lane.
And that's what Whedon would have to do because they're going to close out to her because she's a three-point shooter. She needs to attack the top foot and try to get to areas on the floor to get her shot up just like that.
Well, Tacey Whedon, the highest scoring active member of the Gales, with their first and third leading scorers in Allie Bamberger and Claire Steele inactive tonight. Gustin draws a foul down low, and she'll go to the free throw line for the first time between either team tonight as Aspen Garrison and Taylor Dalton get set to check in.
And they're going to continue to feed down low as Gustin had great position. Again, 2 feet in the lane. Just turn and flip it off the glass as the defender was behind her. Easy call for the referee, Danielle Johnson.
And offensively, BYU isn't a team that will light it up on the scoreboard, just under 64 points per game. St. Mary's, however, also not a highly prolific offense, about 62.5 points per game. So free throws could become important down the stretch of this one as Gustin splits.
And in particular, you're missing your leading scorer. So in terms of Bamberger, so you got to cancel out 15 points from that, and who's going to make it up? The players from the bench.
Mastora finding Whedon. Stripped by Falatea into the front court. The sophomore from Salt Lake City all the way to the rim, but blows the bunny and is going to be off of BYU.
And that was cookies for Falatea. She's seen it right there. Now, that's a situation there. She had odd man transition. I would have liked her to come right back to the right side. She had 2 players coming up, had easier opportunities to make the layup. I'm sure if she had that back, she'd do that all over again.
Well, she's only missed 2 shots. That might have been her easiest look of the night so far. Garrison, long 2, too strong. As Falatea up ahead finds an open Smiler. Kind of Euro steps to the rim and draws the whistle.
So he had an opportunity for the 3 ball, but decided she wanted a better shot. Shot lift, went to the rim, Euro stepped in. Now she has an opportunity for 2 free throws.
And Smiler this season, who's been shooting 47.1% from 3, opted not to take the open in transition triple. Instead gets to the stripe where she knocks down her first.
And you look at the Cougars, they're 2 out of their last 10, so 20%. They're not lighting it up as well now at 39% for the game.
BYU as a team shoots about 74% from the stripe. As Mastora off the Croco screen will give it up to Dalton. Garrison entry pass, Croco short corner with Gustin in front. Dumps it off. Garrison uses a pump fake to free herself and then gets blocked from behind by Calvert, but not before a foul.
And that's a nice job. In a dribble drive offense, what happened there, Garrison went to the other side of the floor as the ball was driven to the middle of the floor. She went to the other side, and that's why she was able to get the little jump pass for the layup.
Croco will come out, and Leia Hannafin will re-enter as Calvert goes to the bench. BYU's first team foul. St. Mary's has 2. As Calvert picks up her second personal. And Garrison, with a little help from the dead and back rim, makes her first free throw.
We'll take them any way we can at this point here.
Free throw shooter's touch. Not too much on that one. Nearly got her own rebound, but instead it's Falatea into the front court. Falatea slowly pulls up and nets the J.
And she's a quality point guard. She knows how to negotiate and get her own shot, get her teammates involved as well. You can see why she's the 9th leading scorer in the conference.
Already 10 turnovers for St. Mary's. Not a live ball turnover, but a timeout is going to be taken at the 2:25 mark. We'll keep it here through the break. But Doc, right now at the point where if you're St. Mary's, 2.5 minutes, a little less than 2.5 minutes to go here in this second quarter, right before the half, you'd love to finish this strong and at least keep the deficit to a manageable distance, ideally single digits.
Yeah, that was not a good turnover, obviously, but it wasn't a live ball turnover you mentioned. So I'd rather have a turnover you throw it out of bounds that allows us to play defense on the other end, right? It's a 50% chance that you're going to make the shot typically if you take it. And a live ball turnover, that moves up to about 90% that they're going to make that shot. So now let's see if they can get a defensive stop and try to get a score as well. You want to at least go into halftime down by 10 or less.
BYU shooting 41% for the game. St. Mary's 40%. Now, BYU only 4 of 13 here in the second quarter. The difference is they've gotten a lot more looks than the Gales because of those turnovers. Falatea now. And Mackie Williams down low. Gustin pushes off, but Garrison got caught with the hand of the cookie jar. And it looks like Gustin will head back to the free throw line.
That was a nice down screen they ran after the ATO with Williams. And Gustin was able to flash down low for the high-low, got it right into her. easy shot, was not able to finish, but you can tell her size does hinder her in terms of larger, more athletic, with longer levers down in paint, and you can see why she struggles with bigger people down low.
Garrison's second personal foul. Third team foul for St. Mary's as Gustin makes the first. Rapp returning along with Amy West. Gustin splits her free throws. St. Mary's with 2 minutes to work, down by 12. Astora there gives it up for Hannafin. Has made both of her long distance shots. Looking for that pick and pot, nothing there. Rapp driving into the lane. A floater that's off. West grabbing the offensive rebound and a fresh shot clock for St. Mary's.
Second chance opportunity here to see if the Gales can convert.
Rapp driving in on Smiler. Stops a hook shot that comes up short.
Smiler did a great job of staying strong, taking the contact.
BYU quickly in transition. Falatea swiftly slicing to the rim and finishes with the offhand.
And that was crafty. As you can see her smiling as she comes back on defense. She started right and finished left. Kind of snaked her way to the rim.
Falatea, 18th time this season she's scored double digits. Leah Hannafin right behind her as she earns a trip to the line and one.
Hannafin was able to take the contact and finish. Used her left shoulder to ward off the defender and flipped it over her left shoulder with her right hand for the bucket.
Leah Hannafin has been the primary source of offense for St. Mary's tonight. Cannot connect on the free throw and still has 8 to lead all Gales.
1 for 3 in the charity stripe.
Three-pointer there for Mackie Williams and is off the front of the rim. BYU started out shooting it well from downtown, but they've missed their last 6 three-point attempts.
Yeah, 3 for 9. Not lighting the world on fire. That's keeping the Gales in the game.
Gales with a chance, if they want it, with a 2 for 1. Whedon just does keep it in the front court. Hannafin working inside on Mackie Williams and is off on the shot. Falatea up ahead to the leaking Smiler, who's able to lay it in.
Falatea again, when she made that pass, she had her hands open saying it's too easy. One thing that she does a good job of, Evan, she keeps her chin up and she allows her players to feel involved in the game. That's why they run hard.
BYU leading by 14. Shot clock is off for St. Mary's. Kira Some with a look, the floater, in and out. And BYU will hoist at the horn. And it falls short, but a nice finish for the Cougars here in the second half as they have extended their advantage 35-21. When we return, we're going to go through some halftime stats, take a look around the rest of the WCC. St. Mary's with some adjustments to make. This is Evan Giddings and Dr. Joaquin Wallace with you. St. Mary's women's basketball on Stadium. Well, it's halftime here in Moraga inside University Credit Union Pavilion. Evan Giddings and Dr. Joaquin Wallace with you here on Stadium. St. Mary's trailing BYU. The Cougars in third place in the WCC at 6-2. Meanwhile, your Gales at 4-5 in a four-way tie for fourth place. But, Doc, what we saw in the first half, St. Mary's needing to clean up the turnovers if they want a chance to get back into this ballgame. And it isn't as if they've been inefficient offensively, and it isn't as if they've been letting BYU get whatever they want, but they've simply been letting them get too many opportunities to do so.
Yeah, and against a team like this, you cannot allow them to have extra opportunities to shoot the basketball. As you mentioned, they've taken 33 shots, while the Gales have taken 25. So that's 7 more opportunities. I think 7 or 8. Okay, I don't have my math right. Is that 8? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's 8 more opportunities.
Right on top of it.
8 more opportunities for the Cougars to get shots up, and they're 14 out of 33. They're shooting 42% from the floor. So that doesn't help them in their quest to win this game. In particular, we talked about the fact of the matter is Bamberger is out, one of their leaders, their leading scorer, 15 points a game, and then Steele is out. So you have 2 important pieces that are not able to play this game. So you need to have all hands on deck. You have to pretty much play a perfect game if you have an opportunity to win this game.
Yeah, Ali Bamberger was injured 2 games ago against Portland with a right leg injury. Good news is she'll be back this weekend against San Diego. We hope Claire Steele is as well. She was active in the last game against Gonzaga, but is out tonight with a back injury, which she unfortunately caused her to miss 6 games earlier on this season. So hopefully the grad transfer out of Lehigh and originally from Marinda is able to be back soon on the court as well. As far as the game here, and especially the adjustments that Allison Fasnacht is going to have to make between the first and second half, it sounds as simple as taking care of the basketball. But offensively, Doc, we've seen them try to penetrate against a BYU team that offers a lot of size. Outside of Garrison down on the block along with Amy West, they don't have a lot of size, does St. Mary's. Do you think that it might just come down to trying to penetrate and kick out, finding those open shooters the way they had some success with Leia Hannafin at the beginning of that first quarter?
Yeah, they did that earlier where Karen Some was able to get inside 2 feet in because of the jump stops and kick it out. But what they've done, they've shrunk the lane. So they're not allowing you to go inside. You're going to have to start your offense from outside the perimeter and make some shots. If you can make shots from the perimeter, what that does, that they have to come out and guard you, and that's going to open up the driving lanes. But so far, they're 1 for 3 from shooting for the 2 out of 6 from the three-point line. So they haven't taken a lot, and they haven't made a lot. So until they start making the shots from the perimeter, they're going to continue to clog the paint.
When we return here on the halftime report, we'll take a deeper look into some of the statistics, also get you a look at the rest of the WCC. Outside of the top 3, it is pretty clogged, and St. Mary's is right in the thick of things. So they certainly want to try and come from behind here tonight, but they'll have a lot to overcome, trailing by 14 at the break. Halftime report continues after this. Evan Giddings and Dr. Joaquin Wallace with you at St. Mary's Women's Basketball on Stadium. About 7 minutes to go between now and the start of the second half between St. Mary's and BYU here at University of Credit Union Pavilion. It's the Cougars 35, it's the Gales 21. It's Evan Giddings and Dr. Joaquin Wallace with you here on Stadium. Before we update you with a couple of scores from around the rest of the conference, Doc, we're talking about some of the adjustments that St. Mary's needs to make offensively. Well, the first thing that you look at on the box sheet is the fact that Nani Falatea has got 13 points on 6 of 9 shooting to lead BYU. I understand she's a force offensively, but that might be someone to key in on in the second half.
Well, the issue with her is that she has the basketball in her hands all the time, so it's going to be difficult to get it out of her hands. But what she does a good job of, Evan, she finds her teammates, she gets everyone involved, and oh, guess what? She can make shots as well. 24 points the last time these two teams met. She's off to a great start so far, and it's the reason why, again, she's the 9th leading scorer in the WCC.
And meanwhile, Lauren Gustin, who has been an absolute force on the boards, continues to be so through her first half. 8 points, 9 rebounds for the nation's leading rebounder in the country. On St. Mary's, Leah Hannafin leads all Gales with 8 points on 3 of 5 shooting from the floor. We've seen her be able to knock down a couple of threes. In fact, she's got the only 2 triples having been made so far by St. Mary's. All eyes, Doc, probably on Tacey Whedon here in this second half. And understandably, BYU is trying to phase her out of this game as she's had to take a lot of that offensive load off of the shoulders of Bamberger and Steele, who are out today. But what do you want to see from Tacey Whedon in this second half, especially in the offensive end?
Well, I would like to see her get opportunities to shoot the basketball. And one thing they're doing, they're playing up the line, so they're making sure they're not going to allow her to beat them tonight. So they may have to run her off some screens, may do some screen roll with her. They can run some 1-2 screen and rolls with her, as she can be the screener, because a screener is typically open. So put her in a situation where she can get open, man movement and ball movement, but it really starts to matter is the fact that they have to get her the basketball in better positions to score. And even when she does catch it from the perimeter, guess what? They're closing out high hands, so she have to attack the top leg and get into areas where she's comfortable when making shots.
BYU shooting 42% in the first half. St. Mary's 36% from the floor. Gales 2 of 6 from downtown. BYU 3 of 10. 4 of 6 from the stripe for the Cougars. 1 of 3 for St. Mary's. That turnover advantage, or disadvantage, I should say, in favor of BYU as well. 10-4 committed by St. Mary's. Rebounding battle has gone to BYU so far. 21-15, 7-3 on the offensive boards, and points in the paint also favor the Cougars. 20-14. BYU has led for 17 of the first 20 minutes of this game. St. Mary's has only had the lead in the opening 23 seconds. Outside of that, it has been wire to wire in favor of BYU. With about a minute left before we take you to break and begin the second half, updates with some scores from around the rest of the conference. Number 17, Gonzaga, currently locked in a battle in Spokane with LMU. Loyola Marymount trailing the Bulldogs 40-33 with 3 to play in the third quarter. Meanwhile, Portland up in the Pacific Northwest, currently in second place in the conference, leading Pepperdine 48-34 with 2 minutes to go in the third period. And just at the end of the third, heading to the fourth in Stockton, a tight battle between Pacific and San Diego. It's the Toreros leading the Tigers 52-49. Here in Moraga, it's BYU with a 35-21 advantage. St. Mary's only 9 points in that second quarter. Would love to see them create some more offense here in the second half if they want to try and dig themselves out of this 14-point hole. Evan Giddings and Dr. Joaquin Wallace with you. Coming up next is the second half between St. Mary's and BYU on Stadium. 30 seconds before the start of the second half. St. Mary's hosting BYU. The Gales at 4-5 in a four-way tie in the WCC. Looking up at Brigham Young University, currently 6-3 in third place in the West Coast Conference. Doc, a 14-point deficit heading into the final 20 minutes for St. Mary's against BYU. We talked about some of the corrections that St. Mary's would like to make in this second half, but first and foremost, I think we have great starts with taking care of the basketball.
Yeah, we got to take care of the basketball. We have to make sure we get shots to the rim. Remember, 50% of shots taken are shots made, so we have to get shots to the rim, and we have to do a better job of not turning the ball over because, again, we're giving a team such as BYU, who's number 3 in the conference, extra opportunities to shoot the basketball, and if we continue to do that, we're going to be on the short end.
Yeah, St. Mary's 10 turnovers in that first half. They did not lead to too many points off turnovers, just 3 for BYU, but second chance opportunities has favored BYU so far in this game as well. Quick start for the Cougars on offense, and a shot down low by Calvert comes up short, and with the rebound is Leah Hannafin. Hannafin, who had 8 points to lead all Gales in that first half. Off the stop, driving into the lane, looking to dish. Rapp now, trying to penetrate. Finds the open shooter from the free throw line. It's Aspen Garrison.
And that's a great start. Again, when you're down, you want to make the opposite team call timeout in the first 2 to 3 minutes. That lets you know that you're gaining momentum.
High-low action with Lauren Gustin. Nearly had it poked away from behind. Calvert to Falatea, who had 13 points to lead all scorers in the first half. Gustin's long two comes up short. And Rapp into the lane. Garrison hit one a second ago and gets the shooter's touch. Back-to-back buckets for Aspen Garrison.
Yeah, penetration, get 2 feet inside the paint, flip it back out. The trailing shot by the big is always open. He's got to be able to knock it down.
Solid start on both sides of the floor for St. Mary's, as Falatea looks to give it up.
If St. Mary's can get a stop here and a score, look for a timeout by the head coach.
Foul on the floor away from the ball. Looks like it's going to be on Garrison. That'll be her third personal, and something to monitor, Doc, considering Garrison has kind of found her rhythm, especially on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, and that hurts the Gales that she's going to take a seat, and West will have to replace her. So that offense you mentioned, 4 consecutive points, 2 consecutive possessions for the foul. She's trying to explain to Coach Fasnack what happened, but to no avail, it's still a foul.
Well, St. Mary's offers more size behind Garrison. 6'4" Amy West checks in. Mackie Williams. Smiler gives it up now to Falatea. 8 to shoot for BYU. Rapp trying to stay in front. Falatea, no-look dish. And off the bench, Heather Hampson can't control it.
Great idea. You want to get that ball up just a little higher for your big because they have a hard time kind of reaching down and gathering that basketball.
Rapp underneath, reverses, and scores. St. Mary's a 6-0 run to start the second half. And there's that timeout you talked about, Doc. It's the first-year head coach, Amber Whiting, that wants time.
In that situation there, as I always say, if you can get the team to call timeout first, that means you're taking control of the basketball game. Great job by the Gales to come out with a 6-0 run.
8:03 at the timeout mark. And we're going to take a break as well. Here on Stadium, it's Evan Giddings, Dr. Joaquin Wallace with you. St. Mary's trailing by 9, cutting into that BYU lead. We're back after these messages. St. Mary's a 6-0 run over the first 2 minutes of this second half. They've cut the deficit to 9. Evan Giddings and Dr. Joaquin Wallace with you here on Stadium, back in Moraga. And BYU looking to find some offense. Falatea dumping it off here to Hampson, who leaves it for Mackie Williams.
And oftentimes when you have a team that's winning the game, and BYU really feel like they're going to win this basketball game, you kind of lose focus as well. And St. Mary's came out and hit them right in the face with a 6-0 run. So the coach calls timeout, get his team refocused again, and get them out and playing good basketball. And that's what you're seeing there. That's why the timeout. Sometimes not about X's and O's. It's pretty much, hey, this is what we need to do. Let's get back to basics. We're getting runouts. Let's play solid defense.
Well, the very physical Lauren Gustin took it upon herself to draw contact on that last possession. Misses her first free throw. And now is 2 of 5 at the stripe tonight, but did grab her 10th rebound on the offensive boards.
And I'm sure that ATO was pretty much, let's go inside and get our top player involved early.
Rapp speeding into the lane. We'll kick it out to Hannafin. Whedon, who had a quiet first half, just 2 points on 4 shots, leaves it for Rapp. Finds Whedon, immediately triggers the triple. All nylon for Tacey Whedon.
And again, we talked about getting inside, jump stop, reverse it back out, opportunity for the 3-ball.
It's a 9-0 run by St. Mary's. BYU lead down to 5. Gustin running in and laying it off the window.
And we talked about Falatea's ability to keep her chin up with the helpers. Nice pass for the layup.
Hannah Rapp going at Falatea. Has to swing it. Hannafin, extra pass, corner 3. That's off from Dalton. Loose ball on the deck. It rolls out of bounds, and it's off of St. Mary's.
You're talking about those opportunities. You have to get those 50-50 balls. You need every extra possession as possible.
So St. Mary's putting its best foot forward out of the locker room. Under interim head coach Allison Fasnacht, opposite the first-year head coach Amber Whiting for BYU. Falatea's got to give it up. Mackie Williams being defended by Dalton. Falatea with Rapp going under the screen, makes her pay for it.
And they run that little single action ball screen, single side between Falatea and Gustin, the 2 best players.
Oh, what a find by Hannah Rapp. Amy West there for the lay-in, but how about Rapp navigating through the double team and finding the open cutter?
And West went right to the front of the rim, was not ball watching, was able to get an easy layup.
Gustin establishing position with the left hand and then wards off West for 2.
And again, she gets 2 feet in the paint. She does her work early and grabs position.
Falatea read that pass and now drives inside. Gustin, an easy deuce. And BYU turning turnovers into points.
And that was an excellent job of being patient on the odd man transition. Falatea could have easily took it to the basket, but waited for her big to come run the lane. Nice bounce pass. She was able to finish.
West at Hampson. Reverses it up and in.
So West used the second side with the layup with the reverse.
Smiler with 2 gills in her face. Dishes it out. And now a 3-second violation in the lane. That's going to be on Hampson. That'll be St. Mary's basketball. Right at the 5-minute mark, immediate timeout on the floor. And we will step aside as well. St. Mary's trailing by 10. They've cut the deficit by 5 here in the second half. St. Mary's basketball next on Stadium. Halfway through quarter number 3 here in Moraga. St. Mary's trailing BYU 44-34. A much different looking Gales group here to begin this second half, Doc, as even quickly out of the timeout, they speed up ahead.
Trying to take advantage coming out of the break. The score, Mastora picked up her dribble.
And a wrap. Going to work inside on Smiler. Bank shot is no good, and here comes Falatea.
This has been the best quarter for the Gales with 13 points, outscoring the Cougars 13-9. But we talked about Falatea again. She does a great job of initiating the offense, getting her teammates involved. But guess what? She can score as well. You can see why she's the number 9 scorer in the conference, and so far so good. She's leading with 16 points. She has a couple of free throw opportunities here.
And Falatea now double digits in 18 games this season as she connects on her first. It was the St. Mary's 8-0 run out of the break to begin this second half. Got them back into this ball game after trailing by 14 at half. And now a foul is going to be on the floor. It's going to go against Gustin. And that'll be BYU's first team foul. St. Mary's has 3 here in the third.
So let's look at the stat line for Falatea. 17 points. She has 5 assists, only 1 turnover, and 3 steals. She's +8 when she's on the floor.
Averaging 15, 4.5, and 5 this season. She does it all for BYU. Kuroko into the game. Kirasome. And Kirasome might have prevented an easy layup on the other end by inadvertently knocking down Mackie Williams.
So I'm going to look at that play there, Evan. So the steal was in the front court, but she went with her inside hand. This is a pet peeve of mine. If you go with the outside hand technique, she avoids the foul, but going inside hand, now she's inside versus outside hand.
We'll talk about inside hand. Hannah Rapp used that to knock the ball away right there, so St. Mary's getting it right back. Hannah to Mastora, floater in the lane, rattles home.
And I would like to see more of that out of Mastora. I do believe she has the ability to put the ball in the basket, in particular going right to left because she is left-handed, try to get to that sweet spot and use a small jumper versus always looking for the 3 ball. She has the ability to score inside.
Coming off a West Coast Conference all-freshman team selection last year, Mastora has played in all 21 games this year. Mackie Williams from beyond the arc, halfway down and out, and then Kuroko off the offensive rebound, bats it away from Gustin out of play.
The eraser down low came right from behind. Kuroko said, "Not in my house." Knocked that out of bounds.
Hannafin and Kuroko will check out as West, along with Whedon, now join Rapp, Mastora, and Kirasome. Gustin going quickly inside, gets it past Amy West.
So baseline out of bound plays, they're 2 for 2, 4 points, and get it inside, a little high-low action.
BYU beginning to stabilize here in this third quarter. Rapp did not pick up the pivot foot. Into the corner now for Mastora. Will now check it out after she checks the shot clock. 7 to shoot for St. Mary's. West, short corner J is pure.
And if West can add that to her toolbox, that would open up more scoring opportunities there for her.
St. Mary's has hit 4 of their last 5 from the floor. Only issue is BYU's hit 5 of their last 6. Falatea dumps it off. Gustin left it short.
And it's the same 1-5 screen roll that they run with one another to the single side for the layup.
Whedon got caught in the air and now tries to get it back down on the deck. Smiler nearly loses the ball, and now a foul is called in front of the St. Mary's bench. Mastora along with Smiler tangled up. Nothing nefarious about it, but that will be St. Mary's 4th team foul with 2:21 left, pardon me, here in the third.
Yeah, Mastora was going all out, being very competitive. There's a foul on the floor, so I do believe it'll be free throws. I don't believe a technical is called, so it'll be free throws, 2 for the Cougars.
And pardon me, the 5th team foul against St. Mary's. And for Mastora, that's her 2nd personal, with Smiler going to the free throw line.
You have to applaud the effort, trying to make something happen.
Well, BYU in their first meeting against St. Mary's did win by 25, but Smiler did not score a point. So far tonight, she's got 8 as she nets her first at the free throw line.
Offensively, the Gales are playing better in this game than they did the first game. As you mentioned earlier, they scored 41 points the first time these two teams matched up. They're 3 points away from tying that mark and eclipsing it.
Now, they didn't have Claire Steele in that game, but they did have Allie Bamberger. And so, not even close to being at full strength tonight. They found some things offensively in their second crack at the Cougars.
As I mentioned, you usually shoot better at home, so that does not surprise me, but Bamberger would help a lot if they had her this evening.
Kira Some finds Whedon and is blocked out of play by Calvert.
It's a nice job of ball movement and man movement. Whedon was cutting to the back of the basket. Kira Some with the dime pass. Whedon has opportunity for 2 free throws.
Yeah, they get Calvert with the personal foul, so that's her third, BYU's second team foul. Contact looked like below the shooting motion as Whedon, very accurate from the free throw line, hits hers. For St. Mary's, just their third time being at the free throw line, they have split 3 of 6. Falatea drains it from 3 as Kira Some goes under the screen.
And again, they ran a little horn series with a ball screen with Gustin. Falatea again, she was able to deliver.
Garrison coming back in after playing with 3 personal fouls. This is her first look. No one picks up Gustin, who kicks it out for Falatea. Falatea's got 20 points. 4th time this season she's had 20 or more. Finds the open shooter, Calvert, straight away. And BYU leads by a game-high 16.
So they ran another horn series again as Gustin dived down and took 2 defenders with her. Spotted up for Calvert for the 3-ball.
Well, St. Mary's did choose to speed this game up at the beginning of the 3rd quarter. But towards the tail end of this quarter, it seemed to favor BYU. Whedon misses. Ball loose. And coming away with it is Barcelo. Into the corner. That's Smiler. And that's off the mark. Whedon trying to keep it in play, and looks like she knocked it off Calvert. St. Mary's ball.
But let's go back to that timeout. St. Mary's came out with that 6-0 run. Remember, that was pretty much to calm down her team, get them back focused. And since that timeout, they've been on an outstanding run. But although St. Mary's is outscoring them this quarter, but they're now getting back to base. And now they're not. It's 20-18. At one point they were, but you can see now a 6-0 run in the last minute and 12.
No, that's a good point, Doc. Since the timeout, it's been a BYU 20-10 advantage. So they have absolutely figured out whatever they did not to begin that 3rd quarter. And St. Mary's now trying to counterpunch at the tail end of the period. Kira Some with 5 on the shot clock just runs into Falatea, who swats it.
And Kira Some had nowhere to go, got too deep.
Shot clock is off. Falatea into the lane, hanging, and gets hit with 1.4 left on the clock. She'll go to the free throw line.
She plays under control. She understands what she wants to do with the basketball. Her chin is up, consistently driving the lanes, navigating space. Now she has an opportunity for 2 more free throws.
Led all scorers with 24 points in the team's first meeting at the tail end of December. And is closing in on that mark as she scores her 21st. Only having taken 11 shots, and like you mentioned, also distributing 2, Doc, with 6 assists. Horn blows, and we will head to the 4th quarter. St. Mary's trailing by 18 points, 10 minutes to play when we return. After these messages, you're watching St. Mary's women's basketball. It's Evan Giddings and Dr. Joaquin Wallace with you on Stadium. BYU closed the third quarter on a 22-10 run. They've extended their lead to 18, a game high against St. Mary's. It's Evan Giddings and Dr. Joaquin Wallace with you on Stadium as Aspen Garrison, who's had the hot hand in the second half, drains it from the elbow.
And that's how she started the third quarter as well. Nice short jumper, continues on.
Aspen Garrison has got 13 points on 6 of 9 shooting in 17 minutes.
And she must be coming close to her career high, I would imagine.
The sophomore out of Bellingham, Washington. A strong game for St. Mary's. Tacey Whedon with an opening from the top of the key, splashes home a 3.
So again, just like last time out, third quarter, Gales come out early on their first 2 possessions. 5 points here. Last time out was a 6-point.
Gustin kicks it out to the open shooter. Barcelo is absolutely pure. And BYU is up by 16.
You got to stem the tide. That will save a timeout as well.
Hannafin gets called for a walk. St. Mary's on the game now has 13 turnovers.
And that will be the first suitcase violation. Travel on the floor, bags. Referee says no. Hannafin took a step and had her bags with her. Referee said no, can't do that out here.
On your spot on, Doc, with that last basket by Aspen Garrison, a career high 13 points. She scored 11 as a freshman in March 18th of 2022. So congratulations to Garrison, setting a new high mark. And that will be out in front of us here at the scorer's table.
So although Dalton was able to get the tip and the steal, again, that was inside hand. Outside hand technique. Ball falls right in front of you. You got to lay up right in front. That's a pet peeve, Evan, I'll tell you. Something we talk about in practice all day, every day. We used to drill on that.
And St. Mary's gives it right back. Turnover to Kaylee Smiler. The junior will find Barcelo, just hit a 3, instead gives it up to an even more open Calvert, who cannot connect.
Sometimes you're open by design in that situation there. Barcelo probably would have been better served taking the 3 ball.
St. Mary's not an insurmountable deficit. 16 points with 8 to go, but.
And to my point, Calvert was 21% from the year on shooting 3s.
Falatea, left hand no. Gustin the offensive rebound. Goes up, gets blocked by Garrison, ends up to Falatea. 3-pointer. No doubt about it.
Well, Falatea didn't want the layup. She'd rather have the 3 ball. She missed that on purpose, was able to relocate, knocked it down. That's her 24th point.
The same amount she had against St. Mary's in this team, in these teams' first meeting in Provo. Falatea has been nails tonight as Tacey Whedon has her shot blocked away. Falatea 9 of 13. 4 of 5 from 3-point range. She's got half of the 3-point makes for BYU.
And if BYU family is listening, Falatea, I'm sorry, it's 25 points.
No,
I don't want to cheat a point away from her.
No, never that. Nice layup by Dalton, who goes off the window with the offhand. Falatea, pick and roll game with Gustin. Swings it to Mackie Williams. Right around Garrison, rolling to the rim.
And on that particular play there, Gustin did a great job on the dribble drive. She moved away, relocated on the opposite side, so it was a wide open straight line drive for the layup.
You talk about a straightaway 3. That's McKenna Mastora. And that's her first triple. And she's been shooting it well from distance, especially in conference play. About 36% for the sophomore. And a foul is committed underneath by Garrison. That's her 4th.
In that situation there, Garrison wasn't the vertical spacer as her arm came down, but I would have just played that straight up because Gustin was at least 4 feet from the basket trying to jump hook. I don't think that would have went in.
So second team foul on St. Mary's here in the 4th. And Gustin back to the stripe. A play she's been 2 of 6 so far tonight. 16 points now. 15 rebounds for the #1 board collector in the country.
And you have both her and Falatea coming back next year, sophomore junior combination.
And one of the reasons why BYU has run the gamut on the WCC for quite some time. And now under first-year head coach Amber Whiting appears poised to be good for another long stretch. Taylor Dalton to the rim. No good. Addison Whedon gets the offensive rebound, leaves it for Dalton, who gets fouled, and she will go to the free throw line.
Yeah, Dalton used the second side, tried to flip it up off the glass, was fouled, has opportunity for 2 free throws.
Now, unfortunately, Doc, this might be the last time in a while that St. Mary's gets a crack at BYU, because next year they are moving to the Big 12. So, I mean, depending on the final result of this game, maybe not so sad to see them go, considering they've won both. Well, should they hold on to this game, would have won both against St. Mary's this season.
And they pretty much had their way with St. Mary's over the years regardless, so I'm sure they'll be having a welcoming party to get him out of the conference.
They might drop him off at the airport.
Absolutely.
17-point lead for BYU. Falatea. And now Gustin down low to Calvert. Was able to keep Rapp off her just long enough to score.
So they're running that A-series, horn series with a ball screen, and the top post relocates back out for the high-low action.
Kira Some to the corner. Addison Whedon will fire the 3, and she makes it. Addison Whedon a triple. Falatea nearly had that strip by Rapp.
And again, they're trying to run that screen and roll single side action.
Mackie Williams to the baseline. Kira Some, I think, got a piece of that. But Gustin grabs the offensive rebound. That's board number 16. Misses the shot. Kira Some in and out move. Underneath the rim. Finds the opening for Rapp, who goes down the lane. Not enough touch, but gets it right back.
Second chance opportunities.
Kira Some from the wing.
That's a nice spot up. And the helter-skelter, the ball kicks out to Kira Some. She was able to line up the 3 ball.
And Jade Kira Some, who's played nearly 20 minutes tonight, filling in as that backup point guard for the injured Claire Steele. Mackie Williams tries the response, and West is there for the rebound.
They tried to go back to the same offensive set with the horn series screen roll. St. Mary's did a better job of defending the dive and the kick out for the 3.
Dalton off the screen from Rapp. Gets hammered and will head to the free throw line.
Dalton gets downhill, has an opportunity for 2 free throws. The dribble drive offense.
And so at the 4:41 mark, we'll step aside for the media timeout. St. Mary's trailing by 13. It's BYU 69, St. Mary's 56. 6-0 run for the Gales. We'll be back after these messages. Evan Giddings and Dr. Joaquin Wallace. You're watching St. Mary's women's basketball on Stadium. St. Mary's on a 6-0 run over the last minute 24, but still work to do. 4:41 left here in the fourth. BYU 69, St. Mary's 56. 7 Giddings and Dr. Joaquin Wallace with you here on Stadium. Well, Doc, I mean, here in the second half, I know that BYU with a 14-point lead has kind of maintained that cushion, but St. Mary's has looked night and day different on offense from the first to the second half. Yeah,
they come out a little bit more aggressive, which you need to see. This situation here, they're outscoring BYU 17-12. But let's talk about the duo of both Gustin and Falatea. 62% of the offense has come from those two players. So they scored 69 points. Those two alone, 62% of the offense come from two players. So, I mean, if you look at their success, it's with those two. That's the recipe for success for BYU.
No, that's a good point. Dalton splitting free throws there for St. Mary's, who hasn't done himself many favors at the free throw line, 4 of 9. And meanwhile, BYU 11 of 16 at the stripe tonight. Falatea, the leading scorer, dumps it off to Gustin. And like you said, Doc, those two have killed St. Mary's all night long. They do it on that possession.
And they know exactly what they want to do. Their DNA is get it inside and play within those two. The number 5 and number 9 scores in the WCC showing up big tonight.
Falatea's got 25 and 7. Gustin's got 20 and 16. As Whedon will whip it out. Kirasome, who just hit a 3, steps back for a triple, nearly gets the shooter's roll, and BYU into the front court. Falatea stops, goes down to the deck, appears to be okay.
Yeah, Falatea blew a tire in that situation there. Well, hopefully she's okay, and I'm sure she's going to come out on the next dead ball. I guarantee her night will be done.
Mastora, transition 3. A little short.
In this situation here, Devin, I would call timeout and just get her out of the game because the game is well in hand. Don't want to wait.
3.5 to play, 14-point lead for BYU. Looks like Ariel Mackey-Williams is at the scores table. Wouldn't be surprised to see her come into the next timeout for Falatea. Calvert spins right into West, who rips it away, but it's off St. Mary's. And a couple of subs will check in. Aspen Garrison and Tacey Whedon return for St. Mary's. And exactly right, Doc. It's Falatea that goes to the bench.
Yeah, in that situation there, you see that and your heart just drops. Oh, I got to get her out of the game. So you hope nothing happens. You get your next person up right now, get her out of the game. The game's well in hand. We're going to need you for Saturday and for the remainder of the season.
Unfortunately, she appears to be okay, but certainly was getting up and down the court a bit gingerly. And in a game that BYU, I'm sure, would hope that they'd be able to finish out here. Garrison swings it. It was deflected. Stolen now by Barcelo. Barcelo up ahead to Gustin. Maneuvering underneath. And BYU will kick it out. Barcelo now to Hampson. We'll lose it for Mackey-Williams. Baseline drive. And that's into the backcourt. BYU's 10th turnover of the evening. And here comes Hannafin for St. Mary's. She will replace Amy West.
And 10 turnovers, that's an outstanding game offensively at any level. If you get a full game, 40 minutes with 10 turnovers, you've done a great job of managing the basketball. Although we got 2 minutes left, great job of managing the basketball by the Cougars.
BYU's won the turnover battle. Garrison, elbow J. Aspen Garrison continues her career night. 15 points for the sophomore.
And hopefully she can continue on with that, get her confidence going for Saturday as well, with possibly the return of Bamberger.
Allie Bamberger supposed to return from her 3-game absence against the Toreros of San Diego on Saturday. Takeaway by the Gales. Down by 12, under 2 to play. Whedon steps back, and reading that perfectly was Kaylee Smiler.
And as I mentioned earlier, Evan, although Bamberger is not in the game, you may miss her scoring, but you definitely miss her ability to assist as well because she does a great job of finding her teammates in the offense.
Garrison inside, maneuvering on Gustin, uses the left, and Gustin does enough to alter the shot. Well, BYU, North St. Mary's has taken their foot off the gas pedal. Approaching the 1 minute mark here in the fourth. 12-point ball game.
You see Falatea at the scorer's table. She may have talked her coach into getting back in the game. I would have taken her shoes away from her.
Barcelo for three. BYU ahead by 14 with 51.5 seconds. Might have been the proverbial dagger as Kirisome floats one off the window that misses. Gale shooting 45% from the floor. BYU also shooting 45%. As Gustin drops it off for Hampson. It looked like Garrison got a piece. Fasnacht encouraging her team to continue to play until the horn blows. Shot clock is off. Kirisome to Mastora. 10 seconds now. And BYU with a fantastic final possession that will finish out this ball game. St. Mary's with a 38-point second half, but BYU's first half does all the damage, and a 74-59 win for the Cougars creates an 8-game win streak for BYU over St. Mary's. So Brigham Young improves to 12-9 overall, maintaining its third place in the WCC at 7-3. Meanwhile, St. Mary's falls to 10-11 overall, 4-6 in West Coast Conference play. Well, Doc, before we hear from interim head coach Allison Fasnacht on the postgame, your immediate takeaway from this one?
Well, I haven't had it. We've watched all the teams pretty much this season. Falatea is really good. That's what I'm going to come away with. She's probably the best point guard I've seen in this conference. You can see why she scores well, but again, she gets her teammates involved. You talk about the duo of both her and Gustin, 25 and 20. I mean, you can't beat that. They did a great job. In regards to St. Mary's, Garrison had a career night. Hope they can continue to grow upon that as Bamberger with her anticipated return on Saturday against San Diego.
And here's interim head coach Allison Fasnacht as we switch off the headsets here on the post-game program. St. Mary's falling to BYU tonight, 74-59. Well, Coach, you know, a situation where 38 points in the second half surely is nothing to scoff at, but unfortunately the damage seemed to be done in the first half, specifically in that second quarter. What did you make of BYU's first 20 minutes compared to yours?
I thought they had a lot more energy than we did, had a lot more aggressiveness than we did. And yeah, we had, I think, 9 field goals and 10 turnovers at the half. So it's not really a recipe for being super successful against a really good team in our league. So kudos to us for at least picking it up in the second half. But we have to figure out a way to do that for 4 quarters. 2 quarters isn't enough, or 1 quarter isn't enough against any team in our league. So we got to figure that out.
Well, you certainly, it looked like you figured some things out at the half. I know that BYU found its stride offensively in the third and in the fourth, but, you know, an 8-0 run out of the break to begin the second half. What kind of adjustment did you make to your team that you felt like translated to success immediately?
We basically told him that we're going to pitch the ball ahead in transition, and you must drive it. I wanted to try to get us just something with an aggressive mentality going towards the basket. We just were so passive, I thought, in the first half. We talked about that all week and how we were going to have to break the read line and get to the basket and try to create circle movement where we can drive and pitch and then kill closeouts and that kind of stuff. So basically, and kudos to them. We did a pretty solid job, like you said, coming out 8-0 run. But it just we kind of ran out a little bit of a gas there in the middle of that third quarter. So got to find a way to sustain that.
I know there's a 15-point separation on the scoreboard, but Aspen Garrison had a career-high 15 points. I know she's been asked to do a lot with Allie Bamberger being out, but what did you see from your sophomore tonight?
Aspen was awesome tonight. You know, she's got a tough task to try and guard arguably one of the best post players in our league. And I know Gustin had 20 to, or how many did you have tonight? 20 and 20.
Yeah.
Which is like, that's going to happen. I told her to be resilient, keep working. You know, she's just working her butt off down there. I know it may not seem like it when you look at the stats and you see what Gustin had, but I'm really proud of her. And then offensively, we're just trying to get her in spots where she can be successful. You know, having her down on the block and just banging against bigger people and stronger people is not really putting her in the best spot. So part of us driving to the basket was getting Aspen on the move a little bit more and getting her in that sweet spot. She was money from the free throw line, that elbow jumper tonight. So try to get her a little bit more opportunities there. But yeah, really proud of her. She's gotten so much better this year, and really happy with where she's going.
And hopefully you get Bamberger back this weekend, but with San Diego coming up next, you're still right in the thick of things as far as the middle of the West Coast Conference, and the Toreros, a team that got you in overtime the first time down in sunny San Diego. What kind of adjustment do you feel like you try and make from this game 48 hours coming up on Saturday?
Yeah, we know San Diego is going to be a super physical team. They're going to crash the offensive glass really, really hard. So I think for us the difference in that game was the free throw, or the offensive rebounding and second chance points versus them. So we'll make sure we emphasize that in our scouting report, and we go over the film and stuff tomorrow and see what we did well that we could do more of, and then some adjustments that we can make to try and get a body on some people and battle a little bit more. So we'll see what happens.
Good luck. Well, we look forward to it.
All right, we'll see you then. Thank you.
That'll be a 5 o'clock tip here against San Diego at University Credit Union Pavilion. That is interim head coach Allison Fasnack joining us on the post-game program. We'll be back to wrap things up with Dr. Joaquin Wallace after this. Evan Giddings with you here on the post-game. St. Mary's falling to BYU 74-59. We're back after these messages on Stadium. Evan Giddings and Dr. Joaquin Wallace with you here on Stadium after St. Mary's falls to BYU 74-59. Now St. Mary's at 10-11 overall, 4-6 in the West Coast Conference, officially out of fourth place, but still with a chance to get back into the hunt for a top four finish on Saturday. 5 o'clock tip against San Diego here at home. Doc having a chance to kind of look at the stat sheet, obviously one that got away from St. Mary's in the first 20 minutes. You never want to say you lose a game in the first half, but with the way that St. Mary's played and bounced back in the second half, it did really come down to the first and the second quarter, especially when you look up and see that BYU was ahead by 14 points at the break.
Yeah, 21 points in the first half is going to be a difficult task against a team such as BYU, but when you look at the game itself, we go back to their two best players, right, Gustin and Falatea. 64% of the baskets made in terms of points made by those two, 45 out of 74. But here's an interesting stat here. Gustin had 52% of the rebounds. I mean, think about that. They had 38 as a team.
Yeah.
She had 20. 13 defensive rebounds, 7 offensive rebounds. But if you go to the 7 offensive rebounds, what does that mean? That's extra possessions. St. Mary's itself as a team had 6 offensive rebounds. She had 7 by herself. That's 7 more opportunities she gives her team to score, 12 overall, and you can see why she's one of the top rebounders in the country, and you can see why that duo is a difficult duo to match up against.
Yeah, I mean, for Gustin, that's her third 20-20 game of the season, so not an uncommon circumstance for BYU. And to your point, Falatea, who's scored double digits in now 18 games, her fourth 20-point affair. And now against St. Mary's, a 24, as well as tonight a 25-point output. You know, San Diego doesn't offer maybe as much firepower as well as that high-low game that Falatea as well as Gustin does for BYU. But they're a team that got over on St. Mary's the first time they played them in overtime at the tail end of last year. So St. Mary's, of course, would love to break the 3-game losing streak they're currently on. They did face the 3 best teams in front of them in the WCC, but they have a chance to get some revenge on Saturday against the Toreros.
Well, they have to be encouraged by Garrison with her output with a career high of 15 points. So with her 15 points and with the anticipation of Bamberger coming back, now you have an opportunity here. You get those two on the floor at the same time. But I go back, although you miss Bamberger, you think about her score, her points, right? 15.8. But you have to look at a little bit more than that because she does more. She has assists as well. So she's a playmaker for you as well as the ability to score. When you look at the assists for St. Mary's, they had, in terms of 14 assists, well, Bamberger usually has 7, 8 by herself. So getting her back on Saturday is going to help in regards to the Gales getting on track for the Toreros on Saturday.
Well, we'll have the call for you again at 5 o'clock here on the WCC Network inside University Credit Union Pavilion. Evan Giddings and Dr. Joaquin Wallace with you. Want to thank our producer, Jack Flitter, tonight. Want to thank Emily Smith back in the production studio making everything go. Want to thank Tim Fitzgerald, the SID here for women's basketball at St. Mary's in Moraga. And thank you for tuning in tonight as one last time BYU defeats St. Mary's here in Moraga 74-49. The final will catch you on Saturday for a 5 o'clock tip when St. Mary's hosts San Diego to round out their 4-game homestand. Signing off from University Credit Union Pavilion, my name is Evan Giddings, wishing you a wonderful rest of your evening.